Hi, in today's setup video, we're going to be going over Jet. Now, before we get started with Jet, we want to make sure we have the following items on hand. 40-inch C-stand kit. I like to use it with the long arm, but for today's demonstration, I have the short arm on here. We're going to grab a sandbag, put that on our stand as well. Then grab a Cardellini or a Mafer clamp. I like to use a long end jaw and a Mafer with a long pin in it. Either or will work. Additionally, we should grab an extra knuckle, a gallon jug with a string attached to hang from the stand. You can probably use a milk jug or something, would work great. A towel to clean up any little spills. Also some plastic sheeting or turkey bags if you need to protect things around, depending on your setup. A plastic bin to catch the liquid. Something to trigger the rig, such as Spark or Spark Plus. And then a power supply, which I have connected to the bench. So now that I have everything I need gathered up, let's go ahead and set up the rig. Before we get started setting up Jet, I'd like to talk for a minute about the things that we can and cannot put through Jet. Of course, we can do water. Anything that's water or water-based is good to go. Juices, coffee, even cream, heavy whipping cream. That's about as thick as we want to go with it. Anything that's not water, we're going to want to flush the system with water when we're done using it. We'll go ahead and just pump water through it until the water runs clear, and then you know the system is good to go. Alcohol is still okay to use. Don't know why you'd waste alcohol like that, but it is okay to use, and just make sure that you don't leave it sit in the pump for too long and flush with water afterwards. If you can, and you're in a multi-day shoot, drain it at night and flush with water. If not, that's still okay too, but it will reduce the life of the seals inside the pump. Now, carbonated beverages, your Coca-Colas and fizzy waters, they will go through. However, the gas in the line, the air in the line, will give you an improper release when you're going to splash. You'll have some air, and then you'll have liquid, and then air again, and liquid. So it does work, but be aware of that. Now, if we're using in continuous flow mode without the valve at the end of the line, it will, of course, pump any of those things, no problem. We really want to stay away from ketchups, mustards, paint, things like that. We really shouldn't be putting through the pump. All right, now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to set up Jet, first I have my C-stand. I usually use a long arm, but for demonstration purposes today I have a short arm. Okay, I have my C-stand here with a sandbag down at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put the arm out, extend this. The valve is going to go with this part here. Okay, so that's ready to go. Then I'm going to grab my Mathellini or Mafer clamp. I'm going to put that onto the center column of the C-stand. I like to put it in the opposite direction of the arm. Attached to that goes our extra knuckle. Ready to go. I'll take the jug, attach it here, and go ahead and we can start setting up the rig. The first thing that comes out is the valve assembly. And go ahead and just put that up onto the stand. Okay. And on the valve assembly, we see a little arrow that shows the direction of flow, but the female coupler should go, that's where your nozzles are going to go, and this male plug is going to go towards the pump. Okay, speaking of pump, now we're going to pull out this whole pump assembly. This will go onto the other knuckle that we have set up. Coming off of the right side, if I'm looking at the dial, coming off of the right side is a lead from the pump. We're going to plug that in to the port marked pump on the plastic enclosure box. So now our pump is connected to our motor box. On the other side of this box, opposite of this, is another port marked PS. That's power supply. Power supply for the pump is located in the crate. Before we connect the pump power supply to the pump, we're going to make sure that the dial on the pump motor box is turned down to 0. That will make sure the pump is off when we connect it to power. I connect the cable into the port marked PS, do a little loop for the cable, set it down, and now we're ready to connect our hoses. Jet comes included with 2 hoses, a clear and a braided. The braided hose goes between the valve and the pump. And I'm going to connect it to the pump at the out port. Out. Okay. With that connected, I can move on to the clear hose. The one end I'm going to connect to the in port. And then the other open end I am going to drop into my vessel. There we go. Okay, now we're ready to test the electrical connectivity. Using the included cable, I connect one end to the XLR jack on the valve, and I run the other end to my controller. And today we're using Spark Plus by Performing Rigs. I make these boxes as a manual controller and signal input from external sources. So you could use your Flare trigger box or your Dragon frame, and we can get that all sorted out for you. But today I'm using the simple push button controller. So with the rig connected, I'm going to make sure the switch on the valve is in the off position, and I push the button to activate the rig. Nothing happens. This is a good thing. This has proven that our switch is fully functional. Now with the switch in the on position, I push the button again and I get an audible signal. I get an audible clicking sound. I can hear the rig working. Now I've confirmed that I have proper electrical connectivity and the switch is working properly. We're ready to fire up the rig. Now that our rig is all connected, we can go ahead and prime the pump. I'm going to take the crate down, get our catch basin into place. I have added a black nozzle to the valve, and I've tilted that down so it's pointing into the catch basin. Okay, so we're going to turn the pump on by putting it into the 50 position, 50%. The pump will start working, and you should see probably a little bit of water start flowing through the line. But the line is not filling with water because there's air in the line that we need to purge out. It's being blocked by this valve. So using Spark or whatever trigger method we have, we're going to trigger this to let all that air out of the line and let the water into the line. So I'm going to go ahead and push that button and hold it until all the air is out of the line. There's some air. Okay, there we go. Now our pump is primed. Now, if this is done properly, the pump should turn off. It has its own built-in pressure switch that will turn the pump off when it pressurizes the line to the setting you have set. That setting is adjustable at the bottom of the pump, and there's a hex key included in your crate to adjust it. Clockwise raises the pressure, counterclockwise lowers the pressure. That's controlling the exit velocity here. Well, our rig is all connected. Your rig is all connected. It's time to have some fun. All right, we've had a full day on set using Jet and we're ready to put it away. I want to show you in this video the proper steps for taking down Jet and getting it put away for storage. So at this point, our rig is still pressurized and everything is turned on. We want to start by depressurizing this line. If you don't depressurize this line prior to removing this connection, you will get everyone around you wet, as my cameraman knows. So, first thing we want to do is turn the pump off. We turn the dial on the box down to 0. Then, using our Spark or whatever controller we have to send signals, we're going to go ahead and hold the signal and relieve the pressure from the line till it's just a drip. Great. Okay, now we are going to leave the electrical connection on there, but we can go ahead and remove this line. Okay. We can also go ahead, take our intake line, and I like to just drop this to the ground. We're going to let gravity do its thing here and let the water naturally drain out of the line into the jug that we have set on the ground. Okay, we still have some water backed up in here as well. So with our trigger still connected, we're going to hold that down and drain the water out of the valve body. Now that's done. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the floor, and I put this under the pump. Okay, I'm going to disconnect our cable here, get all of our electrical connections out of the way. Also going to unplug the power supply for the pump and get that out of the way. We disconnect our hoses with our catch basin underneath. We disconnect our output and our input lines, and a little bit of water will drain out of those. We'll set these to the side to be completely empty later. The pump will still have water inside of it at this point. Remove the pump body from the stand. Tilt it in one direction to drain the water. Tilt it the other direction. Give it a little knock. And back the other direction. There we go. Okay, these are ready for our caps to be applied to hold on any extra water so it's not leaking out in the case. With the caps applied to the motor body, I'm going to make sure that the pump is disconnected from the motor box. I'm going to set that back into the crate. Next to go back in the crate is the valve body. After I detach the nozzle and apply the caps. One cap and two caps. When putting the valve body back into the crate, we want to make sure that the cable is aligned towards the opening so that the cable can feed through and rest near the motor housing. Okay, now we take our tubes outside and spin them around like a lasso to get all the rest of the water out. We'll get those applied back into the crate and put our cables with these two things separated. We have our hoses on one side, our cable and our power supply on the other side, and we're all done. I hope you had fun with Jet, and I hope you found a little value in this video. Drop us an email or a line, or give us a phone call if you have any questions. Thanks.